Michael Patrick Shields is on the air.
Good morning, world.
Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Thursday to you. It's Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan. You ever go to the airport and wait for somebody to land? Well, in the old days, you used to be able to go to the gate and watch the plane come down and see it pull up, and it was dramatic. And now Gary Austin in the post-9/11 era can't do that anymore.
You sure can't.
But you could yesterday on television when Space Shuttle Discovery was landing just before noon yesterday. The last mission had a safe landing at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and here's what it sounded like.
Touchdown and the end of a historic journey. And to the ship that has led the way time and time again, we say farewell, Discovery.
And that is because after 148 million miles around the Earth, Discovery is done. It's going to go to the mothballs now, and then eventually, we think, to a museum somewhere in the United States. Here was the action while it happened. You know, but when your Delta jet comes down and you're at the airport, it's not as exciting as when that parachute comes flying out of the back of the orbiter like it did yesterday.
Main gear touchdown. The nose of the shuttle being rotated down toward the flight deck. The parachute being deployed.
Everybody knows I'm a little crazy about the Space Shuttle. Discovery's commander yesterday, too, also excited. He said they had a very historic vehicle.
And I'd also like to thank KFC, who has given us a perfect vehicle from start to finish on her final flight.
Yeah, he said KSC. That's Kennedy Space Center, not KFC. For Kentucky Fried Chicken, ground teams were at the Kennedy Space Center, and now they will go to a museum. It'll be put on permanent display. They're going to announce next month which 3 museums in America are going to take possession of the retired space shuttles. Maybe the Discovery is going to go to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, but the commander, Steve Lindsay, made 3 trips into orbit on Discovery, and he said this final mission was just perfect.
It's a pretty bittersweet moment for all of us. It's as the minutes passed, I'm actually getting sadder and sadder about this being the last flight.
And you know, Gary, there are a lot of people at NASA who are going to lose their jobs because of the end of the Space Shuttle program. And so Commander Lindsay was careful to give credit to the thousands of men and women who worked to make Discovery's mission a complete success.
Because of the Kennedy Space Center workforce here that takes care of this vehicle, it came back as perfect on its final flight as it did on its first flight.
Gary Austin is the anchor man. You're going to bring us the news this morning.
First of all, thank you very much for this very cool St. Patrick's Day card.
Oh, you got your annual St. Patrick's Day card.
I did, and I'll say this. Before we made our acquaintance, I never once got a St. Patrick's Day card, ever. And now I have a feeling, as long as we're both around, God willing, I'll be getting one of these every year about this time. This is kind of cool. There you are, you and the youngster, your son there, Harrison, taking a neat little stroll. In the background, we see the 19th. We open up the little card here, and the 19th is a popular watering hole. It looks like.
Yes, it's
Am I right?
In Lahinch in County Clare, Ireland. We had just finished playing the Ireland's oldest golf course, and as you can see, we look a little thirsty in the picture. But
you do look a little parched there. It's like where you should be. You're heading like toward the door.
That's exactly right. So
Very good.
I don't send Christmas cards or anything like that. I send St. Patrick's Day cards. It's about it's about a 10-year tradition now.
Yeah.
And speaking of I happen to have last year's with me too. And we were thirsty in this one, and it's me drinking a pint. This is also in Lahinch in County Clare, and there's a sign in the background that says "Lovely Day for Guinness."
Yes.
And then I have a pint, and my son Harrison is sipping out of a pint, and they're the same color. Mine's Guinness, the black stuff, as they call it. His is too, and people keep saying, is he really drinking? He's only 12 years old. Is he really drinking a Guinness in Ireland? And I say, you make the call on that one. But,
very good. This is very nice.
The official card went out, so thank you for noticing that.
Well, thank you. And it looks like the day this snapshot was taken was a very nice day weather-wise. And did you know you'll never, ever have to worry about the weather with a beautiful guaranteed American Metal roof, ever. And you can learn more on why that's the case at AmericanMetalRoofs.com. AmericanMetalRoofs.com is bringing you this newscast / exploits of Michael Patrick Shields.
And you and I are going to speak with United States Senator Carl Levin in a couple of minutes. There is news, that the woman who hit him in the face with the apple pie, remember that?
What's the latest on that?
She has agreed to plead guilty to assaulting a member of Congress. Now, at the time, I guess it was sort of funny when the lady hit the Senator Levin with a pie. It was in Big Rapids, wasn't it, when he was at an event? And, everybody said, wow, but that was long before that incident in Arizona where a member of Congress was shot. And I guess maybe we should have been a little more frightened that someone would take that kind of action. I mean, a pie in the face is normally reserved for comedies, right?
Well, even as the story was reported, it almost seemed kind of like this is really almost kind of bizarre / funny, yet still illegal, and you didn't know what really to make of it. But when you realize, you think of the, every time you eat a pie in the face, you think of Soupy sales.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
you think of Soupy getting it right in the kisser there. Yeah, but this is not. But it's just still, I mean, this is serious business, and you got to imagine this gal who did this, who's facing these allegations, if she had to do it all over again, you got to wager that she would think twice. But
she was an anti-war protester, and he's the head of the Armed Services Committee, and so she might go to jail for a year. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's serious. I mean, whether it's a pie or whether it's anything else, it's still assault and it's still serious. And I remember U.S. Senator Levin reacting to this afterwards, and he wasn't laughing. I mean, this was really a serious thing.
The Fenville basketball team has won again.
They have.
Yep.
That's 2 tournament wins in a row now.
Yep, they had the win, and the next day had the funeral for Wes Leonard, and then went ahead and won again, defeating Bangor 79-50 yesterday. They advanced to the Michigan Class C District Finals, and Xavier Grigg, who had replaced Wes Leonard in the starting lineup, scored 25 points. So there you have it.
Yes, team keeps rolling along, and let's hope our Spartans and Wolverines do the same, because Big Ten men's basketball tournament action. Hard to imagine. It all starts, later today in Indianapolis. The Spartans are seeded number 7, taking on Iowa. And the Wolverines, they are seeded 4th, and they have a first-round bye, and they're going to play tomorrow against Illinois. All of these games in Indianapolis again at the Conseco Fieldhouse.
If Michigan State happens to get past Iowa, they get Purdue, which is not going to be an easy task there, that's for sure. Yeah,
it was a rough season for the Spartan men's basketball team, but it really doesn't matter because this is the start of that second season. So it's sort of like a fresh start. This is as they say, this is the first day of the rest of your life.
First day of the rest of your season.
Yeah, that's right.
In this case.
For this team. The Wisconsin Democrat senators, they are not very happy because last night that vote was taken. As expected, Republicans in charge, they said, no, we're pulling the plug on a lot of these collective bargaining rights that have been in place for a long time for union workers and others in Wisconsin. So that's a done deal. Democrats are not very happy about that.
They don't like the manner in which it was done.
Yeah, they're upset. Then you have Republicans saying, you know what, they knew this was coming, so why'd you just leave? Why don't you just stick around here and just take it? But Democrats said, no, we're standing on our principles. We're leaving, and they did. And sort of an unprecedented move, but in the end, it all worked out in the Republicans' favor anyway. Works out that way when you have the majority, as is the case in our state Senate here. Boy, we have Senate lawmakers here taking action on a couple of things. That whole issue involving allowing those emergency financial managers to come in and do their thing as expected. A lot of protests over the last several days on this at the Capitol, as we know, but the Senate, as expected yesterday, took that vote and said, nope, no more of that. We're going to go ahead with this plan and allow for more of these financial managers to come in the case where a city, town, school district, what have you, is having a tough financial go of it. This would clear the way for these financial managers appointed by the state, no union ties, to go in and do their thing.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty raucous at the Capitol yesterday.
Yeah. And we're
full of people in there.
Yeah.
Raising hell.
Yep. Quite a few upset. Now, this one goes to the House next. It's going to pass there for sure. Republicans in charge, and Governor Snyder cannot wait to sign this. So
I think I think it has passed the House, and they just have to sort of work out the details now.
Right.
What do they call that when they take a bill from the House and the Senate and they sort of round off all the edges and dot the I's and cross the T's, and that's going to happen. And when we got back from this break, in addition to speaking to Senator Levin, we're going to have a little piece of tape. The debate that went on over this involved, obviously, the Senate Democratic leader, Senator Gretchen Whitmer. She's going to join us in person later in the program, but there was one point where she was very animated at the rostrum, at the podium there at the Capitol, and she was getting gavelled and told she was out of order, so she was pretty lively about it, and we'll get to inside the Capitol for you in just a couple minutes with the tape of that.
Yeah. Yeah, contentious. I mean, that's a good way to put it. We see foreclosure filings hit a 3-year low in February, but
I don't understand these
don't
stats.
let
One
that
day
fool
they
you.
say that's
Don't
awful.
let
Really?
yeah. That's don't let that fool you. It's good. Fewer foreclosure filings, obviously, that's good news.
But it's
However,
still a lot.
oh, but there's a reason for that, though.
Oh.
Banks, financial outfits, those who do the lending, they're still going through that reorganization because of all the new rules and regs they have to follow as per the edict from Uncle Sam in Washington. Once all of that paperwork is settled, in other words, they're just too busy.
It's taking longer.
Taking longer. But once the smoke clears and they're done with that, then they'll get down to the business of filing more foreclosures.
The newscast brought to you by American Metal Roofs. You can go to AmericanMetalRoofs.com for more details. It's 18 after the hour. He's Gary Austin. I'm Michael Patrick Shields, and it's Thursday. So the controversial bill giving emergency financial managers more power passed the state Senate yesterday, 26-12 vote. It was debated for 2 days as union members and supporters rallied in the Capitol against the bill. And they think that the bill, the managers will nullify public union employee contracts with new powers. So here's a little bit of the Senate Democratic leader, Gretchen Whitmer, and this is an inside look at how things go on inside the Capitol.
I would like to voice my displeasure at the most recent vote, and I'm going to characterize it as miscommunication, but I think that it rises to a level of misleading from the majority caucus. The question was whether or not we were going to permit an emergency financial manager to make more than the governor, $176,000 a year. Is that okay with the conservative members of this chamber? Apparently it's okay. But we were told that we were going to open that last vote up again because there were more people who wanted to support it, not that you were going to defeat it after it already passed.
Objection has been the chair recognizes Senator Meekhoff.
Mr. Chairman, this vote's already been taken, and with all due respect to the minority leader, it's out of order to speak at this time.
Not to general orders. The chair does recognize that the speaker is out of order. This is general orders. Chair recognizes Senator Whitmer for.
Accordingly, Mr. Chairman, not only were we misled, but I'm sad to say this is how we're going to operate as a chamber. Go ahead and gavel me.
The chair. To the previous speaker, you are out of order. You have voted yes. This is not time for a no vote explanation.
So there was a big rousing round of applause when Senator Whitmer said, "Go ahead and gavel me." It's just a little inside look for you there at politics. We'll talk to Senator Whitmer about this vote and the way it was conducted a little bit later in this program. Senator Carl Levin, United States Senator, is the chair of the Armed Services Committee. There's a lot of intrigue in what's going on in the Middle East and Libya these days. In fact, today there's going to be a hearing in Washington, a House Homeland Security hearing on radical Islamic violence. That's causing some controversy. Good morning to you, Senator Levin.
Good morning.
Have you met Muammar Gaddafi in your years?
I have not.
What would I've seen him interviewed on Larry King, and I've seen some of the people who say they've run across him and talked to him. He really is an unusual cat, and now he is really saber rattling. What do you think happens next in Libya?
Hopefully, the world community will keep trying to figure out ways of helping to remove this guy from office without creating a greater problem for ourselves. There may be ways to do that. There's a lot of options that are being explored, including a no-fly zone, but you have to know before you start moving in that direction exactly what your object is, how much more deeply you'll end up getting involved if you start down that road, what the reaction is in other Arab and Muslim countries. One of the things that's happening now in that part of the world is that their populations are turning on their dictators. There's just a Western or an American intervention without Muslim country support and without Arab country support, then it's very possible that that wrath will turn on us instead of on the dictators that are in those countries. So you got to look at a whole bunch of options. We got to have allies if we're going to do anything. You got to know precisely what our mission is, what the object is, what the risks are, what the downsides are, as well as what the goals are. And we got to keep, hopefully, putting various forms of pressure on him to leave.
You know, it's interesting. Secretary Donald Rumsfeld was on the program with us a couple of days ago. He made a visit to Michigan, and he's, again, repeated the mantra that the world is better off without Saddam Hussein. He was a brutal dictator, and, you know, what makes Muammar Gaddafi any different?
Well, it's a different place. I'm not sure it's any different precisely. The issues, I don't think anyone's suggesting that there be a land attack on Gaddafi. What Rumsfeld supported, based on the kind of misstatements that the Bush administration made about Iraq having weapons of mass destruction and Iraq leadership being part of al-Qaeda who attacked us on 9/11, those kind of misstatements that were the reason that we were told we were going to war against Iraq. Those are not even alleged. They were alleged wrongly against Iraq. They're not being alleged against Gaddafi. Mm-hmm. Gaddafi is a different situation where, on a humanitarian basis, he is just going right after his own people. And before you take offensive action against another country because you got a dictator in charge. There's a hell of a lot of dictators in this world, and you got to decide which ones you're going after and why, and you better have some support. In this case, you better have support in the Muslim and Arab communities or the nations that surround Libya, or else you could find this whole thing backfiring very seriously against us.
We have a text this morning from a listener, Scott Danick, who wants us to ask you about the Guantanamo detention facility there and the extension of the detainees indefinitely. That sort of was a hot potato during the campaign, closing Guantanamo. What's the plan now, if you know?
Well, the reason Guantanamo isn't closed is because the Congress has ordered that it stay open. This isn't a matter of the president changing his mind. This is the president not having any option. Congress has passed laws, which the president has reluctantly signed because they're part of bigger defense bills or other bills which prohibit the trials of these people in the United States. Some of these people should be tried in courts as criminals. In the United States, in federal court, we've tried a lot of terrorists here successfully. Other of these people are enemy combatants, which need to be held because they would return to the battle if they were released. And then you've got to have procedures in place which would satisfy the standards laid down by our Supreme Court for keeping people indefinitely. But some of these folks are going to need to be kept indefinitely because they would immediately return to the battlefield and do the kind of damage they previously have done to us. But you need procedures for that to be done successfully that will withstand the scrutiny of our Supreme Court.
Did you notice that you got some airtime on the Academy Award broadcast?
I was told. I missed it. Even though I saw some of the Academy Awards, I missed the best part of the Academy Awards, which was about a second and a half of me.
Yeah, that's right. You were the only United States senator got airtime worldwide on the Academy Awards. We were proud of you.
Thank you. A lot of people told me how great it looked and all the rest, how fabulous it was. It made the whole Academy Award 3-hour thing worth it while just for looking at me for 1 second. But I missed it.
Yeah, I think next year instead of Anne Hathaway and James Franco, they may ask you to host the thing. Would you be up for that?
They already have, but I've reluctantly declined.
You know, we got Ash Wednesday today. We got St. Patrick's Day next week, April Fool's Day, and then Tax Day, April 15th. And yesterday, the passing of the tax strategy, it's the America Invents Act, but you're particularly interested in the tax strategy patent provision. What is that?
Well, believe it or not, lawyers are able to patent schemes to avoid paying taxes. So
only in America.
Passed. Yeah, these so-called tax structures, which have been concocted by tax lawyers to help their clients avoid paying taxes, to circumvent the tax code. These clever structures that have been put in place to avoid paying taxes have been patentable, and some of them have been. And then, of course, they will sell those rights to other people to avoid paying taxes. We have, in this in this bill now that passed the Senate yesterday have said that these kind of tax concoctions, tax schemes, tax structures are no longer patentable.
Seems to make sense to me. Gary Austin, we got about 30 seconds left with the senator. I know you had a question.
Yeah, hi, Senator. I see you and your colleagues are poised, all set and ready today to take test votes on a couple of rival spending plans. How do you think that's going to go?
These are rival cuts in spending, actually. And I don't think either one of them is going to pass. Either one of them contain what has to be part of deficit reduction, which is closing tax loopholes. For instance, the subsidies which we provide to companies to move their jobs overseas. We actually allow tax deductions for moving your jobs overseas, and then we don't tax the profit you make overseas when you ship these goods back to the United States. We allow you to keep the profits without being taxed if you move the jobs overseas, but we don't allow you to do that if you keep the jobs here. So there's a lot of incentives going in the wrong direction in the tax code. We ought to end those, not just to save American jobs, but to avoid these kind of tax expenditures. We also got to restore that tax on the upper bracket. They've done very, very well, and we cannot afford to continue the Bush tax cuts on families making over $250,000. The cost of the Treasury is just simply too great. So you need both spending cuts and you need those kind of selective revenue increases if we're going to be serious about deficit reduction.
Senator, thanks for the time. We'll see you in Hollywood.
Great. Yeah, right. You will.
Washington. 33 minutes after the hour. Doesn't sound like he's going to be in Hollywood anytime soon, but we'll keep in touch just in case. Hey, good news out of Benton Harbor. Whirlpool's looking for a 33% revenue increase over the next 3 years. The chairman and CEO, Jeff Fettig, said that to the Detroit Economic Club yesterday. He's already expanding the southwestern Michigan headquarters, and Whirlpool, as you know, is the world's largest appliance maker and seeking a jump in revenues for its products to $24 billion and hiring and expanding. So that is good news for Michigan, and we like some good news all the time, don't we? We love to hear something good. State employees who were given health care benefits for their live-in partners just months ago, probably going to lose them. The state Senate overturned that decision yesterday. We'll talk with Senator Whitmer about that later. And an employee of the New Media Strategies has been fired after posting a vulgar update on one of Chrysler's official Twitter feeds on Wednesday. The employee hasn't been identified, tweeted on Chrysler Autos, quote, "I find it ironic that Detroit is known as the Motor City and that no one here knows how to bleeping drive." That wasn't very smart, was it? More good news. The unemployment rate dropped again, under 11% for the first time since 2008. That's in the state of Michigan. The figure stands at 10.7% for January. It's down a little bit, but a little bit is something. Tell me something good right now. If you've got something cool to tell us, 888-900-9966 is the number to call. Any good news at all about you, your family, your friends, something you read in the news, 888-900-9966. Tell us something good. Live from the American Metal Roofs studio here in the Capitol. Just a couple of blocks from the Lansing Center, where yesterday the Michigan Association of Broadcasters had a convention and an awards dinner and all that sort of thing. And two important things happened. One of them was that Governor Snyder gave a little talk, and he said, we have to have a we versus me mantra. He rolled this out. This is sort of a new facet, I guess, of his stump speeches. He says, me versus we is the cultural question Michigan faces. 300 people were watching, and to become a great state, we need to be a we, not a me. He said, forget about how does it impact me, how does it impact we? Okay? Simple enough, right?
That's nice. Yeah.
The other important thing is that Gary Austin won 2 news awards yesterday. And Tony Cuthbert went up and collected your awards, and you should have heard what he said, Gary, in his acceptance speech for you. It was really something else. He wept. He did. He wept. He said, you love me. You really do love Gary. Just like Sally Field did at the Academy Awards all those years ago. Remember that? She got up there and said, you love me. You really do love me. It was one of the most famous acceptance speeches ever till yesterday. Tony Cuthbert got up and said, you love Gary. You really love Gary.
I have to just take this moment in.
Oh, my God.
I cannot believe this.
That's right.
Look what God can do.
Yeah, Gary,
Wow.
congratulations.
Well,
So where are you going to put those things?
Well, that's very kind of you, Michael Patrick. I have no idea. This is all news to me. I didn't. I was unable to attend last night because of my requirement to be here at the earliest of morning hours. So, in any event, well, thank
congratulations.
you. Well, it's very kind.
We look forward to having them on display.
Well, that's very good. Hey, it's on to Answer Me. Are you ready?
Answer Man. Well, we never let the birthday of a beautiful woman pass without taking note.
Yes.
Shannon Tweed, 54 today, and Yasmin Guy, or is it Guy? It's Guy, I think.
Now, was she in?
Different World, Harlem Nights, Call Me Claus. She's 49.
Oh.
Give her the Google and you'll see. Jasmine Guy.
You remember there was a time we had to look it up in a book? It was like a book that you had to
actually go
find.
to the library to look at the book.
Imagine that. You know what? Something else too. If you ever, this is something I discovered just recently. I'm sure most people have already onto this. If you don't know how to spell a word, just go into one of the search engines and type in the word, and almost invariably within the first like 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 4 options, there's the dictionary spelling and the way it's pronounced and the definition. All right there within seconds.
Because you can correct, if they think, if you spell it incorrectly, it'll say, did you mean, and it'll correct you with the right word.
Yes,
did you mean cat?
That's true. It does that too.
Cat.
It's hard to believe. As you enter anything, like for example, if you enter just for example, I'm just gonna say eBay for example, and you type really fast, and you instead of EBAY, you go EABY, and then bang, did you mean? It's like they read your mind. How do they do? Question?
I just put Gary Austin in there. There's a whole bunch of Gary Austin listings on Google. Some of them aren't you.
I hope not.
Anyway,
they better not all be me. I can't imagine.
You can see Gary Austin and what he looks like if you're not watching on Fox 47 television by going to MichiganTalkNetwork.com, and your photo is right there.
Oh.
I have the Answer Man hat on tonight.
We got to get down to what is all this chatter? We've got to get down to serious stuff here, and it's time.
I put the hat over my Ireland baseball cap that I'm wearing today. Yep. And now the Answer Man hat of wisdom is on. What is your question?
Time to quiz you, young man. Number 1, foreclosure filings hit a 3-year what in February compared to the month before? A 3-year what?
Low.
Yes, a low. However, there's a reason for that. What's the reason?
They can't keep up fast enough to foreclose on all the people they have foreclosed on because of regulation.
They're catching up on all that paperwork, and once they're caught up, watch out, because we're being told by summertime it is going to be foreclosure city big time.
That MPS has an answer for everything. Yes. What is your question?
A proposed comedy drama from ABC is drawing a lot of criticism from a watchdog group. Now we have the Parents Television Council stepping in and saying this show, Good Christian What, is an affront to women that blatantly attacks the world's largest faith. Good Christian What?
Well, if it's attacking the world's largest faith, that's up for debate a little bit because
and think of that, it's an affront to women too. So think of that.
Must be something to do with Muslims.
No.
Why not?
Well, try again.
One of the world's fastest growing faith is Islam, and Islam has an interesting way of treating women, does it not? Not what we're quite used to.
Yeah, you're onto something there. Yeah. But this one heads in an entirely different direction. Okay,
this word, I'll
give you a hint. It starts with a B. Good Christian.
Oh, I'm not going to say that word. I know what you're talking about.
I know, isn't that
terrible? BITCHES.
Yeah.
Good Christian biddies.
Yeah, it rhymes with witches, and boy, I tell you, if the Parent Television Council has something to get riled up about, this is it. It degrades, abuses, harasses, bullies, and humiliates women. How in the world? This is actually the name of a television program. It's a proposed comedy drama from ABC. Proposed.
ABC too.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't some guy shooting something in his basement that ends up on a public channel. This is real McCoy. ABC is proposing this. Now, in addition, the group questions whether ABC would ever consider a program title or a plot line that used the term to refer to women who were, let's say, of other faiths. That's their big concern, as you alluded to a few minutes ago.
Remember last year, though, there was that movie Inglourious Bastards that was nominated for Academy Award.
You know what? That is a good point. So we have the 2 B words. Is one more appropriate than another?
Yeah.
You decide.
The Answer Man window closed again. Gary Austin denied. It's Michael Patrick Shields. When we get back, we'll get you a sports update and the rest of the news, too. Stay tuned. A very unfortunate story out of Dundee, Michigan. Police are not going to press charges, but a letter carrier died when a concrete porch collapsed while she was delivering the mail. In Dundee, they had to get heavy machinery to remove a 500-pound slab that fell on 46-year-old Nancy Schaefer of Dundee. She was on the phone with a coworker when the collapse occurred, and she was pronounced dead shortly thereafter. The porch was covering a cellar that had been sealed off from the rest of the house, and she went up to deliver the mail. Her world caved in, and they needed heavy machinery just to get her out of there. The Dow Industrials fell by a single point yesterday. The NASDAQ lost 14, and the S&P dropped 2 points. And gasoline is going to take another 10-cent leap thanks to the latest jump in wholesale oil prices. So be ready for that. Amanda Wall, Jordan McCarlton is here too, our production assistant. I have a question for you, kind of along the lines of the answer man, okay? Wait, maybe Jordan, can you pop in here for just a minute? He's a student at Michigan State University, and I'm just curious to see what your answer would be if you could take that yellow microphone right there. Well, now aren't you on spring break this week? Yeah. You decided to work anyway.
I did.
Industrious, wouldn't you say, Amanda?
Very. Yeah.
All right. What is the most dangerous spring break destination? Would you take a guess and say?
Mexico.
I was going to say Cancun.
Yeah.
That's what I would think too. But someplace in Mexico or something like that. Would you believe Orlando, Florida is the most dangerous spring break destination in the United States, according to an analysis of crime and accident statistics?
Too many cougars?
My guess is there's a lot of people that probably go to Orlando. Now, when I was in high school, we went to Orlando on a spring break, and we didn't get in too much trouble. We got in a little bit of trouble, though. I remember carrying an armful of Milwaukee's Best Light, which in Florida, because there was no deposit, cost about $3.50 for a case back in the 80s. But anyway, that's the most dangerous place. Daytona Beach came in second, and I guess Las Vegas, third, Myrtle Beach, and West Palm Beach, Florida. Now, who goes on spring break to West Palm Beach, Florida?
That's the old folks right there.
Come
I
on.
wouldn't expect that.
That doesn't seem like... on the other end of the spectrum, the safest. Would you like to know the safest?
Of course.
Honolulu. Very safe. Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Because it's a little bit more expensive to go to Honolulu than it is to go to Orlando.
Oh, maybe because it's less accessible.
So, it takes a certain level of money
Are you
to
saying
be able
that
to go
that level of money is better behaved?
No, I'm just saying that you're probably going to have less people going to Honolulu than you are going to Orlando.
Oh, just by sheer stats.
You can road trip to Orlando. You have to fly to
They
Honolulu.
list Santa Barbara, California as a safe spring break destination. Who goes to Santa Barbara on spring break? They can't drink wine or anything like that, so what's the point?
That is not a place I would pick.
Reno, Nevada, the biggest little city in the world, or the littlest big city in the world, or whatever it is. That's kind of a gritty place. San Diego and Steamboat Springs, Colorado, also very safe. So that may twist your impression of spring break anyways. Orlando's a dangerous spot. The happiest place in the world, though, Disney World. You can't get in any trouble there.
I went to Disney World on spring break. We
You
went to
know,
New Orleans first, and then Disney World.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised New Orleans didn't show up on this list. Florida hasn't been good to Miguel Cabrera. He had that drunken driving arrest last month, and he threatened apparently to blow up the bar that refused to serve him as more details are coming out. And then he told police to shoot him, according to a police report. And then he told, when deputies told him to drop to his knees so they could handcuff him, he said, "Shoot me, kill me," according to this police report. And then he said the famous celebrity line, "Do you know who I am? Don't you know who I think I am? I'm Miguel Cabrera, and I play for the Tigers. You don't know my family," is what he said. So he said he was going to kill everybody in the bar and blow the place up. And is there a 911?
There is.
911 call? You want to hear that?
911, wait for ambulance. It's not an emergency. My manager just told me to call, and I'm not sure why. There's a guy out front or something. Send an officer.
Well,
Can
there's
you please send an officer to Cowboys in Fort
there's
Pierce?
an on-the-ball
They're, like,
employee.
with somebody
Wow.
outside or something.
My manager told me to call. I'm not really sure why. Thanks a lot for the help. And somebody in the background has to yell, "Can you send an officer?" Wow. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. The guy's threatening to blow the place up. He wants the police to shoot him and everything else, and he's raising holy hell, and there's an employee saying, my manager told me to call. I'm not sure why.
It's not an emergency.
We hear that one more time. It's not an emergency or anything. I don't know. My stupid manager told me to call.
911, please, for ambulance. It's not an emergency. My manager just told me to call, and I'm not sure why. There's a guy out front or something.
How embarrassing. That's the state of employment these days. I'm afraid that encapsulates it perfectly. Red Wings losing streak now up to 4 games. They dropped a 2-1 decision last night to the Kings in Detroit. Pistons lost 2. They're on the start of a 3-game road trip. The Spurs got them 111-104 down in Texas. Tigers lost yesterday, too, 5-3 to the Phillies at Joker Marchant. They're going to go down to Jupiter and play the Marlins tonight. And Michigan State is against Iowa tonight in the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis. A couple of NCAA berths given out yesterday. Long Island has never been to the tourney. They're going to get in. And then Northern Colorado, they are rookies, too. They're going to the NCAA. The PGA Tour is at Doral and Puerto Rico this weekend. And we're back right after the news with more of your Thursday. Morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Thursday to you, live from the American Metal Roof studio, just a couple of blocks from the Capitol where all the headbanging goes on these days. And Gary Austin, you heard that little clip from The Godfather with Senator this and Senator that.
Yeah.
Let us welcome in, if you don't mind, Senate Democratic Leader Gretchen Whitmer, the Democrat from East Lansing. Good morning to you.
Good morning, MPS.
We got a little peek thanks to YouTube and thanks to some people on Facebook who were pretty impressed by it. A little bit of the process at what went on here in the debate over this controversial bill giving emergency financial managers more power. It passed the Senate yesterday, 26-12. But here was a little, some dramatic moments down at the Capitol so people can have an inside look at what it sounds like. This is you, in fact.
I would like to voice my displeasure at the most recent vote, and I'm going to characterize it as miscommunication, but I think that it rises to a level of misleading from the majority caucus. The question was whether or not we were going to permit an emergency financial manager to make more than the governor, $176,000 a year. Is that okay with the conservative members of this chamber? Apparently, it's okay. But we were told that we were going to open that last vote up again because there were more people who wanted to support it, not that you were going to defeat it after it already passed.
Objection has been. The chair recognizes Senator Meekhoff.
Mr. Chairman, this vote's already been taken, and with all due respect to the minority leader, it's out of order to speak at this time.
Not to general orders. The chair does recognize that the speaker is out of order. This is general orders. Chair recognizes Senator Whitmer for.
Accordingly, Mr. Chairman, not only were we misled, but I'm sad to say this is how we're going to operate as a chamber. Go ahead and gavel me.
The chair.
And that's when the crowd went up and went wild, and they loved that, Senator Whitmer, that go ahead and gavel me line. Now, it's a little bit of inside baseball for the rest of us, but what was going on there?
It is. Well, we were having debate on whether or not an emergency financial manager should have their salary capped at what the governor makes. Sounds reasonable, right? I mean, the governor's got a pretty hefty salary. It's after the 10% cut now, it's $159,000 a year.
Plus, he's giving it all back.
Legislation creates all these new emergency financial managers, and in the wake of the governor's budget cuts, there's going to be over 100 municipalities, 160 school districts that go into this bankruptcy crisis, and now we're changing the rules of how it's going to work. And they wouldn't limit the cap on the salary to what the governor makes, and that's where I wanted to have our debate. And we were told one thing, and they did another. And I do think there was some miscommunication since I think we've cleared it up. But it was a heated day at the Capitol, and when you're talking about workers' rights to bargain, you got Governor Walker walking in on the front door on that in Wisconsin. But this is just a backdoor effort to do the same thing here in Michigan. And So it was an important debate to be had.
Yeah, I heard there was quite a ruckus yesterday at the Capitol. There were a lot of people who showed up to protest.
Yeah, Tuesday was wilder. Yesterday was they were still making their voices known, but I think Tuesday was maybe one of the loudest days I've ever seen it down at the Capitol.
Are you known for being that outspoken?
Well, when I feel that they are circumventing the rules or not playing by the rules that apply to everyone in the Senate, I'm one of the first people to jump to the microphone and try to hold them accountable. So I do have that reputation. But, like I said, these are issues that are going to impact so many communities across the state, and it was important that we have real deliberation on them. It went down party line vote, but I think that when you're talking about the treasurer appointing all these people with only 2 days of experience, there are these new bureaucrats who go in and they can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on the taxpayer's dime and undo all the contracts without any accountability or transparency. I mean, that's a big deal. And people might not feel it yet, but if the governor's budget cuts go through, it will touch every senator's district and every rep's district by the time we're done this year.
You know, when John McCain was first running for president, Senator McCain, a long time ago, he had the Straight Talk Express. And going forward, I think you can now cling on to the go ahead and gavel me line. I think that's pretty good. The woman who won't be gaveled.
I'm out of order, you're out of order.
That's right.
I didn't quite want to go there, but, I like your Godfather references.
Thank you very much. Also yesterday, it looks like state employees not that long ago were given health care benefits for live-in partners, and now the state Senate has overturned that decision?
That's true, and so I'm sure that will be challenged. I don't know that that's over and done with, but, yeah, that vote was taken yesterday as well.
What's that beeping in the background? Are you making a cup of coffee or something?
I am.
I thought so. You need it. The woman who won't be gavelled is saying, go ahead and gavel me. You can't shut me up. I'm not going to sit back and take this anymore. Yesterday, I heard you made an appearance at the Michigan Association of Broadcasters Awards, and the reason is, we got a merit award for this program, and so Tony Cuthbert, who has been with us almost a year now, is our audio director. He's the fellow who calls you before the interview and sets it all up, and I said, were you excited to get the award yesterday? Because he's the one who went up on stage and got the award. And he said, well, that was exciting, but guess what else happened to me? I got to meet Senator Whitmer for the first time. And he told me that you were there, and he was excited. I said, did you go introduce yourself? He said, oh, no, I couldn't get the nerve up to do it. So anyway, that was his, he had a good night yesterday, put it that way.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. I think that's wonderful. You always do well at the awards, that's for sure.
Well, thank you.
And you deserve it.
Thank you very much. It's a big team effort, Amanda Wall and Tony Cuthbert and Gary Austin, and it's nice to be recognized by people like you. And you know what? We won't be gavelled either. Go ahead and gavel us. All the best to you. Travel safely today. We'll see you soon.
You too. Thanks, Michael Patrick.
Senator Gretchen Whitmer, who will not be gavelled.
Go ahead and gavel me.
Yeah, go ahead and gavel me. It's a new buzzword around town. 14 minutes after the hour, Gary Austin's got the rest of the news right about now. Sir, good morning to you.
Yeah, MPS. Hi. This update is service of our friends at AmericanMetalRoofs.com. You'll never, ever have to worry about the weather with a beautiful, guaranteed American Metal Roof. Learn more. Check out the website, AmericanMetalRoofs.com.
Thank you.
AmericanMetalRoofs.com. All right, the state's jobless rate is edging in the right direction. Down a bit because for the first time in about 3 years, we're at 11% or thereabouts. However, it's always important to note in real numbers, the rate is more like 16% because the state no longer counts those who are no longer looking for a job. Well, let this be a lesson to every single one of us. Watch what you tweet, because you never, ever know what you say could end up affecting a lot of things in your life and how that could happen. In this case,
or costing you your job.
Yes, and that's the exact, precise dilemma this employee, now ex-employee, for New Media Strategies finds themselves in, costing them their gig on the official Chrysler site, Chrysler Autos. This person tweeted, quoting here, I find it ironic that Detroit is known as the Motor City, and yet no one around here knows how to blank drive.
Expletive
And,
deleted.
Expletive. I'll give you a hint. The expletive starts with an F.
I wonder if
you
he was
understand it
getting into that sort of Eminem groove there, where he wanted to be the tough guy from Detroit. and all
Well,
that.
it's a fun. You get on, you do stuff, you get a little bit more caffeine in you than you should. You kind of say things, and you figure, oh, who's going to read this except the person that I'm texting it to?
So let
and then you
people
find out the hard
understand
way.
this, right? You hire this company, and there's the music in the background, and you got this whole Detroit tough guy theme going, and he's sitting there and he's figuring, I'm representing Chrysler on this tweet. I got to be tough. I got to man up. I got to make a statement here. And so he tweets, I find it ironic that Detroit is known as the Motor City, and yet no one here knows how to bleep and drive.
Yep. And the moral of
And
the story
Chrysler
is...
said, you are no Eminem.
And the moral of the
You've
story
gone too
is...
far.
Once again, Mom was right. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. That's what Mom always said. And once again, she was right. Hey, here's an old prank, and a dangerous one at that. And we've all seen it. Maybe you've done it yourself years ago.
I beg your
Don't do it ever again. Tying shoelaces of two shoes together and throwing them, hoping they catch on a telephone or electric wire overhead.
Oh, I see that all the time.
Yeah, but now the experts say, did you know this is done to signify drug or gang activity?
Did not know that.
Yeah, neither did I until I put this story together. In Saginaw,
You mean if you see the shoes hanging over the wire, you're in a gang neighborhood?
Well, according to possibly, or drug activity, that's what the story says. In any event, in Saginaw, those with the YMCA went to work saying enough is enough. And they used their own equipment and went around town all over Saginaw, and they and I emphasize very carefully, took down 82 pairs of shoes. And this story out of Kalamazoo County, a very
If that were a Tom Jones concert, they'd throw their underwear up there.
Oh, jeez.
By the way, another practical joke not to do is to put a pie in the face of a United States senator.
Don't do that.
Don't
do that
not
either.
the thing to do because the woman who did that has now pled guilty. She
Yes.
might go to jail for a year.
Yes, I know.
Over in Big Rapids, she did that.
Serious business, serious health concerns too. Kalamazoo County and the surrounding areas. Here's what's up. More cases of scarlet fever and strep throat, of all things. The symptoms include headache, fever, sore, red throats, and or a rash. The experts say don't go to work or school and call your doctor if you've got these symptoms. They say strep bacteria is easily spread through the air. So say
Very
if
serious.
somebody coughs, sneezes, or breathes on you, you could get it too. The usual advice here, wash your hands real good.
Let's all just stay home tomorrow. Then we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
18 minutes after the hour, he's Gary Austin, Michael Patrick Shields, live from the American Metal Roof Studio. This is the famous Blackthorn Band from Michigan with their rendition of Whiskey in the Jar this morning. It's Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across Michigan.
As I was going over the far-famed Kerry Mountains, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol, I then produced my rapier. Said stand and deliver, for you Arabelle the saber. For sure ring in a Durham-a-die. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar.
You can see and hear Blackthorn. They're coming to Mason very soon, and they play all over the state. If you go to blackthorn1.com, you can see the schedule. I highly recommend it. I don't know where they'll be on St. Patrick's Day, probably in Royal Oak at O'Mara's. But anyway, we will be live from County Clare on St. Patrick's Day, thanks to the resorts of Tullymore. We're flying on DeltaVacations.com and going over there and going to broadcast from Doonbeg Golf Club, which is very near the Shannon Airport and very near Lahinch and very near Ennis, where they have terrific music in Ireland. You will have the most authentic morning St. Patrick's Day party on the air all across Michigan and on television too next Thursday on St. Patrick's Day. And with us right now, Mo Murray, who I understand his family actually comes from County Clare, very near the River Shannon.
Clare, Mike, yeah, you little bum, I was going to almost hang up on you. You're going over there, right, Kilmurray, which used to be the old ferry. They used to have to ferry over the coal, and it was a ferry landing, and Kilmurray, of course, there are probably 20 or 30 Kilmurrays well up Mary in Ireland, and right there, again, by the Shannon Airport.
Yeah, and I think, in fact, we're going to be taking the Tarbert ferry, I think it's called, to Kilrush, to go across the Shannon River to go into County Kerry.
I've been on it.
Isn't it
It's
something?
still a cute little baby doll. You may have a little bit of waiting time, but
Yep. Part of the charm, though. Part of the charm, to
oh,
be sure.
yes, the charm. It's the center of the universe. What a beautiful, beautiful country.
Yeah, well, I hope that a lot of people will take the opportunity to visit once they see and hear what it sounds like when we broadcast from Ireland next week. And there is a debate in this morning's Detroit Free Press about the Metro Detroit pub owners. They're divided over the serving of green beer on St. Patrick's Day. And I chuckle a little bit because when you go to Ireland for St. Patrick's Day, you find out that that holiday in Ireland is more like Easter than New Year's Eve. I mean, we whoop it up here in the States. It's a little bit different there. But this green beer business, it's very stage Irish, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, sure. But what the heck? It's still fun.
It is, but the Irish will laugh. They would laugh if they knew we were drinking green beer, and they also laugh at the notion of, the leprechauns and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and all that sort of stuff.
Hey, it generates money for them.
Well, that's true. It's an economic boon for sure. But they chuckle at that sort of thing. And what about the other cliche? Now, this I hear all the time. You can't think of Ireland without thinking of drinking. Does that bother you, being of Irish descent?
No, I have the Irish allergy. I'm an alcoholic, so.
Yeah, the curse.
I would say no. I would say the Emerald Isle comes into mind first. It's so beautiful. So it's not synonymous with drinking at all, I don't think.
It is part of the culture, though, to go into the pub. And this is another thing that I think is worth talking about, that people say, well, the Irish, they're in the pub all the time. But the reason for that, if I'm not mistaken, is their homes were so small that the only way really to socialize was to go into the, quote, public house, which was really sort of like a common living room for people in the small villages to get together and talk and chat. And it wasn't that they were going to go get hammered every night with pints of Guinness or Jameson or whatever. It was just a way to be convivial and have conversation.
Absolutely, and you're right, Mike. When you go over there, and I did trying to do a search, genealogical search, and with the last name of Murray, it's like Smith or Jones over here.
Yeah.
And it drives you crazy. But once they realize, and this is really ironic, because when you first get there and say, my name's Murray in County Clare, and I'm trying to find my ancestors, they clam up. And the reason they clam up is during the potato famines, people just put all they could carry on their back and got on the ship and headed for the United States. And the squatters came in and claimed the land. So they want to make sure, as when you come back there, that you're not going to, lay claim to the land, because there are no deeds over there.
Isn't that
that's real? But once they trust you, then it goes the other way. They invite you in for they are very economically poor, but they offer you the little tea and stuff, and there's still houses, and then you can't get them off your back because they invite everybody in, and they know that this is a legitimate Murray that's not trying to steal the land back from 1852 when his grandfather left.
Yeah, they're just beautiful people, and I've been lucky to spend a lot of time there. And on one of my visits back to Dingle, I hadn't been there in probably 2 years, and I walked into Dick Mack's pub quietly, unassumingly, and asked for a pint. And he poured the pint, and then when I'd put my money on the bar, his hand took the money and the bartender and pushed it back toward me without a word, and I looked confused, and he said, "Welcome back." And man, it gave me the chills, to have that kind of thing.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I wish I had genetically that memory here at age 72.
So I take it from what I understand, your book, You're Just Your Fingers and Bingo, You're Sober, you will not be tipping any back on St. Patrick's Day.
No, I won't. We've got a couple of good gigs scheduled interview-wise. We've got one in Katanning, Pennsylvania, and another one in Knoxville that we're going to have a real good time with. We're having a contest. The little jingle that I actually put the sheet music in in the book, Finnegan Begin Again. You know, there was an old man named Michael Finnegan. He grew whiskers on his chin again. They grew back in, and he shaved them off again. Poor old Michael Finnegan Begin Again. And I put it in the book because beginning again, when you're fighting for recovery, you know, you fall off the wagon and you just pick yourself up and you begin again. And we're holding Begin Again contests in a couple of these different places and giving away books and a couple in Katanning they have green hot dogs and they're coming in, and that's a pretty beautiful small little market. But I graduated from Pittsburgh Theological Seminary in 1963, and Katanning is about 38 miles north on the Allegheny from Pittsburgh. So I know a few of the people that are going to be there, and so I'm going to celebrate, but hopefully, Lord willing, on a sober basis. I could be the designated driver, but I no longer own a car. So
yeah. Well, I'll never forget. You talk about green hot dogs, and everybody says, "Oh, wow, that's going a long way there." But it was Wayne County Sheriff Robert Ficano, who is now the Wayne County Executive, and at the time he came to the J.P. McCarthy St. Patrick's Day party, and he said, in honor of St. Patrick, I'm going to serve green spaghetti to the prisoners at the jail today. And everybody said, that's pretty cool. And then the city councilman, Gil Hill, walked up and said, I was going to go down to the jail and try some of Sheriff Ficano's green spaghetti till I found out it's green every day.
And probably a few unwanted visitors in it also.
Yeah, maybe so. So, you know, when everyone is whooping it up, you have a serious message, and it is featured in the book. Your fingers? Is that what it's called?
Oh, it says just snap your fingers.
Snap your fingers.
It's only a 98-page book.
Okay.
And what it does, and one of the snipes on the left-hand side says, you're in recovery even if you're still drinking. I don't think recovery should be this humiliating process that it's turned into. And I don't think that it should be necessarily a slow boat to China. And I love these cognitive approaches to recovery, where they try to, in the rooms of AA, we say get rid of the stinking thinking.
Yeah.
You're a lot further along than you think. You should take credit for the recovery you have and be enthusiastic about it. And what it is, I say often that I didn't write bingo. The recovering community wrote bingo. And in my life, as in my active alcoholism, that's part of it. I'm a very good eclectic and have a good memory. And then on the other side of the desk, when I became a counselor and clinical director, I collected the other part and just spun it all together. And the little book is really taken off.
Just snap your fingers and bingo, you're sober. Just snap your fingers and bingo, you're sober by Mo Murray. Have you sent a copy to Charlie Sheen yet?
You know, that little bum, he has so many problems, but he said the other night on the guy that took the talk show deal, he said,
Piers Morgan.
Only 5% success rate. And I said, boy, I wish there's somewhere I could call up because AA is among the most successful. And
I'm sure you can help people, too. The book, Just Snap Your Fingers and Bingo, You're Sober by Mo Murray. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, sir. It's Michael Patrick Shields all across Michigan.
Winning.
By the way, did you just hear Mo Murray when he was struggling, grasping to find out? He was talking about Charlie Sheen on a talk show, and he wanted to say Piers Morgan, but he said, yeah, that show where the guy who replaced, they still say the guy who replaced Larry King when they can't quite get his name. Isn't that the truth? It's 20 minutes before the hour. Michael Patrick Shields heard all across the state of Michigan. Red Wings were in action yesterday in downtown Detroit. The Los Angeles Kings came calling, and Detroit was on a 3-game losing streak. Did they make it 4, Ken Cal?
Thanks, Michael Patrick. Dustin Brown's power play goal at 14:43 of the second period proved to be the game winner as the Los Angeles Kings defeated the Red Wings 2-1 last night at Joe Louis Arena. Detroit outshot Los Angeles 11-3 in the first period, and they grabbed a 1-0 lead on Darren Helm's 10th goal of the season. The Kings stormed back, though, to take a 2-1 lead after 40 minutes Anjay Kopitar netted an even-strength goal, and Dustin Penner connected on the power play. The Kings shut Detroit down the rest of the way, thanks to solid goalkeeping from Jonathan Quick, who stopped 28 Red Wings shots. The final score again from Hockeytown, Los Angeles 2 and the Red Wings 1. That's the story from Joe Louis Arena. Now back to you, Michael Patrick, in the studio.
Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Ken, but the Pistons were losers yesterday, too, at San Antonio, 111-104. Tigers lost to the Phillies yesterday at Joker Marchant Stadium, 5-3. And, Pistons are going to take on the Thunder in Oklahoma City tomorrow night. Tigers are on the road tonight to take on the Marlins. And it's today that Michigan State tips off against Iowa in the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis. They split the regular season meetings, but the Hawkeyes beat the Spartans by 20 points back in February. And then State won by 19 at the Breslin Center. So how do you handicap this game? I don't know, but it may be for naught because the winner has to play Purdue in the quarterfinals tomorrow night. So, Michigan State, which in the past I think fairly has been criticized as maybe not taking the Big Ten tournament too seriously because, after all, they were always going to the NCAA tournament after, are on the bubble. And an automatic win in the Big Ten tournament would get them into the NCAA if they can win the whole thing, but that's a tall order, too. They might get in, they might not. Wolverines are on the same bubble, and Chris Brandon is with us from Ann Arbor, Michigan for Domino's Pizza. They have become the official pizza of the NCAA tournament. Good morning to you, and congratulations.
Good morning, Michael Patrick. Hey, it'd be great if we could get both of those Michigan teams in the tournament, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be good for pizza sales, I'm sure of that, because people hunker around the television if they don't go to the games themselves. And is Super Bowl the biggest night of the year for pizza?
Yeah, Super Bowl is our number one day for sure, and then we've got 4 or 5 that come after that that kind of all in a way tie for second place, but Super Bowl is definitely the biggest.
Is the NCAA tournament the final game one of those?
It's a big one. Yeah, it's a big one, but nothing else really rivals Super Bowl. And then after that, we've got some holidays like New Year's Eve and night before Thanksgiving and all that. So the national championship for basketball is great, but still, those other days are still bigger.
I got to tell you, what you have done has been a study in advertising at Domino's Pizza, unlike anything we've ever seen. You took a product that maybe was kind of getting a little old, maybe nothing new, nothing fresh, and all of a sudden went ahead and criticized your own product, flying in the face of all conventional wisdom. And as I understand it, that was about a year ago, and the stock price is up and sales is up. You changed the recipe. Unlike New Coke and Old Coke, where it didn't work out so well, you actually succeeded in not only changing the recipe, touting it, and you also have a real emphasis on the cheese, do you not? Because there's an adage that they don't use real cheese when they make pizza, but you do at Domino's.
Well, we do. I mean, we say that we reinvented, our pizza from the crust up.
Yeah.
So it was really, the cheese, the sauce. We added a, garlic seasoning to the crust. So I mean, it was a complete revamp, and it was a huge success for us. Both because the product was so improved, but also, like you mentioned, it's the way that we talk to people and the kind of honesty and boldness of the campaign and of letting people know. And that's just, last year we celebrated our 50th year, as a company, and we just kind of feel like that's the way our fans and our consumers, deserve to be talked to, and they seem to appreciate it.
I think that's a very good point, and it's something that we think about with this radio program all the time, and that is you can't BS people. They are smart. Listeners, viewers, consumers are a lot smarter than most people think, and if you speak straight to them and don't try to snow them, I think they appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the days of the spin, in a lot of ways are over, and we certainly didn't want to spin anything when it came to the new pizza. We wanted people to hear exactly, what feedback we got in the past, whether it was good or bad, and in this case, in a lot of ways, people, saw room for improvement, but we also wanted to make sure people saw the feedback after the pizza launch. So we did live Twitter feeds on our website and all kinds of ways to make sure that the feedback was really open, whether it was good, bad, or neutral, so people could see it, themselves.
We've been lucky on this program because we've had occasion to speak to Tom Monahan, who started Domino's Pizza with one little shop in Ypsilanti. And if the legend is true, he used to take the orders on the phone, cook the pizza, and drive it himself as fast as he could because he was a kind of a one-man band there. And then David Brandon, the immediate past CEO, who's now the AD at the University of Michigan, obviously is a frequent guest on the program, too. And we are happy to have you. And you made everybody hungry this morning. We're going to be all waiting till 11 o'clock to get a Domino's Pizza.
Well, that's great. Yeah, you can call the stores like usual. You can order online. There's all kinds of ways to get that order going.
Go blue and go green and white in the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. Domino's Pizza headquartered right there in the Ann Arbor area here in Michigan. A home team, if you will. It's Michael Patrick Shields. All right, the space shuttle is home. Discovery is back on Earth, and in a couple of weeks, they're going to decide where that space shuttle will go to. It's done 148 million miles in the air, landed yesterday just before noon the last time. And so they're going to figure out maybe the Smithsonian, maybe some of the other famous museums, Air and Space Museum. We'll see. But you'll be able to get a close-up look soon. The woman who hit Senator Levin in the face with a pie in Big Rapids last year, she was an anti-war protester, has pled guilty. And so therefore the felony charges will be dropped. But we're going to find out in March 18th what the penalty will be. That could be a year in prison for that. House Homeland Security Committee hearing happens today in Washington on radical Islamic violence. And people are getting all stirred up. There's controversy even among Muslims in Michigan. They say it's unfairly targeting their community. It's Congressman Peter King who took control of the meeting. He's from New York. And he has dubbed the hearing "The Extent of Radicalization in the American Muslim Community and the Community's Response." So even the title has people outraged, including Congressman Keith Ellison, the Democrat from Minnesota. He's one of two Muslims in Congress, and he says the hearing has set a tone of blame in the Muslim community. Ellison is a Detroit native and a graduate of Wayne State University. He's going to be the second witness at the hearing. And John Dingell, the congressman from Dearborn, is also going to testify because, as you know by now, Dearborn has the highest concentration of Middle Eastern people outside the Middle East. So people are going to be a little sensitive today, but it's probably worth talking about, don't you think? We'll see. We'll have clips tomorrow morning, too, from that. Chrysler has fired one of their official Twitters. You see, Chrysler hires companies to run their Twitter, and this person said on the Twitter, "I find it ironic that Detroit is known as the Motor City, and yet no one here knows how to bleep and drive." And Chrysler said, that's going a little too far there. The Benton Harbor, by the way, Whirlpool, 33% revenue increase over the next 3 years. That is their goal. They're expanding their headquarters, and good news. We love it from Benton Harbor. Also now, Michigan's unemployment rate is dropping again. More good news this morning on the program for you. It's under 11% for the first time since 2008. Governor Snyder, in his speech yesterday to the Michigan Association of Broadcasters, says we have to change the mold in Michigan. It's not me anymore. It's we. It's not how does this affect me. It's how does it affect we. Pretty catchy, isn't it? Very bad news this morning. A letter carrier in Dundee, Michigan, a mail person, was delivering the mail, and the porch collapsed, and a 500-pound slab fell on 46-year-old Nancy Schaefer, and they had to get machinery to remove the slab, and she passed away in that's a very frustrating situation. There are not going to be criminal charges, apparently, against the homeowner, but the porch just collapsed. It was covering some kind of cellar. And, gosh, that's depressing news there. Gasoline is going to take a 10-cent leap very soon thanks to a jump in wholesale oil prices. The Dow fell a single point yesterday. NASDAQ lost 14, and the S&P dropped 2 points. The PGA Tour is at Doral in Miami, famous tournament there, and also in Puerto Rico this weekend. Orlando is the most dangerous spring break destination, the safest, Honolulu, Hawaii. Where are your kids going on spring break? And good news yesterday for the Fenville basketball team. One day after the funeral of Wes Leonard, the Fenville boys team defeated Bangor 79-50. They advance now to the Michigan Class C District Basketball Finals. And the Fenville story, which has gripped everyone's heart all around really around the world, when their star player kept their season intact, 20-0, by making the layup and then dying right there, virtually on the court from a heart issue. They've already won 2 games now, and the world is watching Fenville with heavy hearts. And Miguel Cabrera really had a blow-up at that bar. The 911 call has been released. He told, now this is the Tiger player who caused a scene in Florida. He told everyone he was going to kill them all. He was going to blow up the bar. And then when the police came, they said, go ahead and friggin' shoot me, kill me, he said. He said, don't you know who I am? I'm Miguel Cabrera. I play for the Detroit Tigers. You don't know my family. And all this is being released now as the data becomes available. And most ironic to me is the 911 call from this restaurant, which I'll play for you here right now. Cabrera's causing a scene, and somebody from the restaurant who works at the restaurant calls 911, an employee. Here's what it sounds like.
911, wait for ambulance. It's not an emergency. My manager just told me to call, and I'm not sure why. There's a guy out front or something. Send an officer. Can you please send an officer to Cowboys in Fort Pierce? There's like an issue with somebody outside or something.
See, now there's somebody who's really taking responsibility for a situation, isn't it? That employee calls 911 and says, it's not an emergency. I don't know. My manager wanted me to call. I don't know why. You know, something's going on out there. And then you hear the manager in the background yell, could you ask them to send an officer? And the employee says, I don't know. She wants you to send an officer. You know, I've never heard anything like that in my life. If that doesn't illustrate the state of employment these days, where somebody says, God, she wants me to call. I don't know why. This is happening in her restaurant. Am I wrong? 888-900-9966. Television viewers, thanks for being with us. Radio listeners across Michigan, we have another hour from the American Metal Roof studio. Stay with us. My name is Michael Patrick Shields.
Come and play. Come.